Hey besties, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about romance. I love romance, and I think romance books are definitely what made me fall back in love with reading when I got older. Like, obviously growing up I was into the classic John Green books and the Hunger Games and all of those sorts of things, but when I got older I feel like the first books that I really fell in love with again were romance books. So today I just kind of want to sit and talk about all of the romance books that I have on my physical TBR, but also my mental TBR, my mental wish list. Just talk about all the romance that I want to read. I won't be talking about fantasy romance in this book. It will be purely contemporary romance, otherwise we'll just be here for too long. But I'm just so excited to be talking about romance. To start off with, let's talk about the romance books that I am currently reading. I'm reading two. The first one is Thank You for Listening by Julia Whelan. I am loving this so far. I actually decided to listen to this as an audiobook because the author of this book is also the narrator of the audiobook, but she is just a narrator of audiobooks in general, and the main character in this book is a narrator of audiobooks. It works so well as an audiobook. I feel like I haven't read enough to be certain on how I feel about it yet, but it just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun, but also still have a bit of depth to it. So loving this so far, but obviously I'll keep you updated. I also recently picked up Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. This is the first book in the Bergman, I want to say Bergman, I could be wrong, Bergman Brothers series. I think it's actually Bergman Brothers and Sisters series now, because I think there's 6 books in this series at this point. Obviously I'm starting off with book 1. I do have a feeling that all the books in the series are interconnected standalones though, so you might be able to pick up whatever. I could be wrong with that. I don't have all the knowledge on this series, but I decided to start with book 1 because why not? So this story specifically is about Ryder and Willa. It's a college romance, and both of our main characters share a college class together. Willa is a college athlete. She plays soccer and she's really, really good. Ryder actually used to be a college athlete, but he went through an accident. I'm at the point where I don't actually know what happened in the story yet in terms of his accident, but something happened and now he is hearing impaired, basically deaf. And because he has trouble hearing, Willa and him kind of get off on the wrong foot because she thinks he's being really rude. She thinks he is ignoring her when she sits next to him in class and tries to ask him for notes and things like that. He obviously didn't realize because he cannot hear her, and although they get off on the wrong foot, they end up having to work together for an assignment or something. And so far I'm only 90 pages in, so I definitely don't know the full story yet. I'm assuming they're gonna fall in love at some point because it's a romance book, of course. But I just really like the representation in this book. It's really interesting. I haven't read a book about a deaf character before. It's honestly very insightful, and from what I've gathered, I think Chloe Leese does quite a good job with representation and kind of having a bit of diversity within her characters. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what I've heard. So hopefully I really enjoy this, and hopefully I can continue the series and also read some of her other books. But again, I'll keep you updated. We'll see how we go. But so far so good. So those are the 2 romance books that I'm currently reading, and now I want to move on to the romance books that are kind of at the top of my physical TBR, the ones that I really want to reach for in the next month or 2. They're the ones I'm most excited to read right now or very soon. These next 2 books I am so excited to jump into, and as soon as I'm done reading my current romance reads, I'm definitely going to go into these, or at least one of them, and those are the 2nd and 3rd book in the Chestnut Spring series. The first book is Flawless, 2nd book is Heartless, 3rd book is Powerless. So I have read Flawless and I really enjoyed it. It's kind of like a cowboy romance. The MMC in Flawless is a bull rider, which was just such a vibe. It was just so fun to read about this guy who lived on a ranch and he was a bull rider. He was just so cool, and there's a bit of a forced proximity situation in the first one. I rated it 4 stars, really enjoyed it, and so of course I bought the 2nd and 3rd book because I was I need to continue this series. So of course next I want to pick up Heartless, which is the 2nd book, and I've heard that this is the crowd favorite. Everyone loves the 2nd book the most, or at least the majority of people love the 2nd book the most. So I'm super excited. I think this is single dad, again, kind of small town. I feel like some people say this series is small town, some people say it isn't, and I'm pretty sure the actual town where they live is not technically a small town, but it has the vibe and the energy of a small town romance. So do with that what you will. I'm loving the whole coastal cowgirl trend at the moment. I just think it's so wholesome and fun, so I'm just loving the vibes of this. And then of course I'm going to continue with the 3rd one, which I think is about the best friend of the brothers from the first 2 books, and I think this one might be childhood friends to lovers, and I think a road trip. Those are the main things I know about this. Yeah, on the back it says 2 childhood friends, 2 broken hearts, an impromptu road trip to get away from everything. I am so excited. I think this is also a hockey player and a ballet dancer. Don't quote me on any of the facts of any of these books because obviously I haven't read them, so I don't know for sure. I'm just basing this on things that I've heard and hoping my memory is correct. But yeah, very excited about both of these, and these books are so stunning. These are the like discreet kind of special edition covers. They are kind of expensive, and in Australia I'm pretty sure you can only get them from Amazon. But also the UK covers that we have, I'll put them on the screen, are very, very cute, and you can get those ones from Dymocks and QBD and like the bigger bookstores like that. Moving on, the next ones that I am desperate to read ASAP are these two Sarah Adams books. I have When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. Practice Makes Perfect is a new release. I literally just got it like last week, and I'm so excited to read both of these. These are, I think, again, like interconnected, standalone romances. I don't know how they connect. I'll obviously find out when I read them, but I have been told that it's best to read When in Rome first and then to go into Practice Makes Perfect. So from what I've heard, When in Rome is a book about a girl who for some reason like needs to get out of where she lives, or wants to get out of where she lives. Ooh, Amelia Rose is burnt out from years of maintaining her public image as pop princess Ray Rose. Okay, so it seems like Amelia needs a break, and so she heads to Rome, Kentucky, not Rome, Italy, but still sounds super fun. And it looks like the guy cooks or bakes, and I love that. It's giving Knox, it's giving Atlas. We love a man who can cook or who can bake. I've just heard fantastic things about this, and it just sounds like it's right up my alley. I've heard that Sarah Adams as a whole tends to write quite sweet, lovely stories, and I feel like those are my favorite types of romance books. And I have read The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams, and I enjoyed it. It just wasn't like a favorite, but I'm hoping these two might just be like my favorite ever. Then I have X's and O's by Amy Leah. I'm gonna go Amy Lee. What really drew me into this one is the main character is a bookstagrammer, and obviously as someone who makes book content, that really drew me in. And I also just love the premise as a whole. It says, Tara Chan has had her heart broken 10 times by 10 different men. Nevertheless, she is still determined to find her perfect match. The only problem? Tara is a romance novel obsessive, and her standards are sky high. Tara decides to revisit her exes in the hope of finding her very own trope-worthy second chance romance. And every heroine needs a sidekick, so she enlists her new flatmate, firefighter Trevor. And I'm assuming we can all guess what happens with firefighter Trevor, but sorry, a firefighter? I don't know why I haven't picked this up yet. I do know that there is technically like a first book in this series. What is it called? Set on You. And I think that's about like a fitness influencer. To me, the first one sounded okay, but not something that I'm like super desperate to read. So let me know if you've read these and if you think I really need to read the first one. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to jump straight into this one. And if I really like it, I might go back and read the first one. I know there might be some spoilers in this one, but I don't know. This one is just really intriguing me, like so much more than the first one. So very excited. I feel like I'm going to say the word excited like 1 billion times in this video, but it's just the truth. This next one is extra special because this is an early copy of Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I feel so blessed to have been sent this by Hachette. Thank you so much, Hachette. I'm so excited to read this. And for those of you who don't know, this comes out June 13th, so it's really not that far away, but I want to read it ASAP because I obviously want to read it before it comes out so I can let you guys know what my thoughts are on it. So again, stay tuned. I'm sure I'll share my thoughts with you on YouTube and Instagram whenever I do get to it. I have read 2 of Ali Hazelwood's other books. I read The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, and I really enjoyed both of those, so I'm really excited to get into this one. I'm assuming I'll also really enjoy it. I'm pretty sure this is Rivals to Lovers. Ali Hazelwood always kind of centers her stories around women in STEM and just science and that sort of thing in general, which I actually really enjoy. And on the front here it has a few of the tropes, and the ones that I'm really excited about is fake dating with a twist. I am loving fake dating at the moment. It says the guy is a people pleaser, which means he's going to be really nice, and I love a nice guy. And it also says broody older brother, so I'm very intrigued to know what that means and how that goes. I recently picked up 3 YA romances, and they all have pink spines, which is kind of fun, so we'll talk about these now. First of all, we have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. I've only read one other book by Talia Hibbert, and I liked it but didn't love it. I'm not someone who loves a lot of spice, and I feel like the first book that I read from her could have had less spice so that it could have had more plot. I feel like the plot just lacked a little bit in that book, so I feel like trying out her YA book might be really good for me personally, because YA tends to have a lot less spice / no spice, and so I'm hoping there might be a little bit more of a developed plot in this. So that's my hopes going in. I don't know if that will be the case, but I'm excited nonetheless because it looks super cute and I love YA romance. Then we have Begin Again by Emma Lord, again YA romance. She is also the author of Tweet Cute, which I feel like is quite a popular YA romance. I haven't read that one. I haven't read any books by this author, but from what I've gathered, this is a college romance, and on the back it says an unforgettable novel about love and starting again. And so yes, I think this will be a romance, but I think it's going to be a bit more than that. I think it's going to be a bit of like a coming of age, a bit of like figuring out who you are and what you want to do with your life, that sort of thing, which just sounds really cute. So very intrigued to try this out because I also haven't heard much about this. And then lastly, for my YA romances, we have This Time It's Real by Anne Lang. Hopefully that's a correct pronunciation. For like 2 months, I was walking into Big W and going through their book section, as I do, just browsing. And this stood out to me literally every single time I went in there because it just looked so cute. But I also just haven't heard much about it, so I kind of just, I don't know, sometimes when I haven't heard a lot of good reviews or just reviews in general, it kind of puts me off because I'm like, I don't know if it's going to be for me, and I just haven't heard enough about it to be able to commit. But one day I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to grab it and try it out for myself, make my own opinion, just see what it's like. And then literally this morning I saw one of my favorite booktokers post about how this is one of her favorite reads of the year so far, and so now I am really excited. It kind of got bumped up on my TBR, but I think this is a fake dating story. Again, I am loving fake dating recently. I just think it's so fun. But on the back it says, when Eliza Lynn's essay about the love of her life goes viral, her life changes overnight. The trouble is, Eliza made it up. She's never been in a relationship. To hide the truth, Eliza strikes a deal with the famous actor in her class, Kaz Song. She'll help him write his college applications if he poses as her boyfriend. But when her fake relationship with Kaz starts feeling too convincing, Eliza needs to decide, can she follow her dreams if it means breaking her own heart? It just sounds so fun, so cute. Again, YA romance is just wholesome and fun and usually a little bit more light-hearted, and they're usually fairly short. It just sounds stunning, and obviously the cover is really what sold it for me. It really was a cover buy, so props to whoever designed this cover. And then lastly, on my ASAP TBR, we have Heartbreak House Share by Emily Merrill. Hopefully that's the right pronunciation as well. This is another book that just really caught my eye in the bookstore. I saw it and I was like, that looks so fun and so cute. And this is about a girl who got dumped by her boyfriend, and so she moves into a share house with these strangers, and they make a 20s list, so like all the things that they want to do in their 20s, which sounds so fun. It says it's the perfect excuse for her to live her best life, that is until her boss catches wind of it. Now she's documenting her life in a magazine column, got herself a new hairdo, and she's accidentally landed a fake boyfriend. So again, fake dating. At this point I'm very predictable, but we love to see it. So although I think this is a romance, I think it'll also have discussions on friendships and just kind of figuring out who you are after a breakup and living your best life as a single person, which just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm excited. Gosh, please don't take a shot every time I say excited because you will not be doing well. Alrighty, moving on to the other romance books that I have on my physical TBR that I'm not necessarily like desperate to read, but I'm still excited to read. First up in this category, we have Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. Now, I'm not even really sure to include this in this video because I know that this isn't technically a romance book, but it is a love story. I think it's going to be more of a messy, almost like literary fiction vibe compared to like a cutesy romance. Like, I'm not going in expecting a cute little rom-com. I am really excited to pick this up. I just feel like I've heard such mixed things. This is some people's like all-time favorite book, and then some people are just like, it's a bit meh. I obviously need to read it for myself and decide my own thoughts on it, but it does sound really fascinating to me, so TBD on this one. The next one I have is On a Night Like This by Lindsay Kelk. This was another like cover buy for me. I saw this in the bookstore, haven't heard anything about it. I picked it up, it looked like a bit of fun, so I bought it. On the back of this one it says, within days of wishing she could change her life, Fran Cooper is leaving rainy England to become an acting assistant to a famous singer on a yacht in the Mediterranean. Their destination is a tiny Italian island that's hosting the biggest celebrity gala of the season, the Crystal Ball. And while not everything about her new role goes precisely to plan, when she, quite literally, bumps into tall, dark, and handsome Evan, a man able to keep his cool in the face of chaos, the magic really begins. Evan makes her a promise. No last names, no life stories, just one unforgettable night. Wearing a designer dress and drinking champagne, Fran is soon a million miles away from her life back in the UK. They may be soulmates, but their homes are an ocean apart, their lives a world apart. They'll never meet again unless, on a night like this, everything can change forever. It's giving Cinderella, it's giving One of Us is famous kinda, or just like a public figure, rich guy. It's giving fun. I'm excited. It just seems like a quick, fun read, not too serious. A girl just kind of like living her dream life for a night. Like, that just sounds magical. So we'll see how this goes. I feel like some of you are gonna laugh seeing me bring this one up because this has been on my physical TBR for a hot minute. This is The X-Talk by Rachel Lynn Solomon. I've read one other book by Rachel Lynn Solomon and I liked it but didn't love it, and I feel like this book particularly I've heard very meh reviews about. Like, overall it seems like a very meh book. So when you're gonna go start a new book, you don't really want to invest your time into something that you think is going to be meh. And I could be wrong, I could love this, it could be my new favorite book, but I'm just doubtful. And that's the reason that it's on my TBR, but it's not necessarily very high. So if any of you love this book, convince me to read it, because I need to get this off my physical TBR. It has been on there for way too long. Another one that I am actually excited to read, but I think I just kind of forget that it's on my physical TBR sometimes, is Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. I've heard that this is less romance focused and more like adventure vibes, and that actually sounds really fun to me. And so I think sometimes when I'm like in a romance mood, it's not what I reach for, because I've heard that it's more adventure vibes, but I don't usually look for an adventurous book. Like, it's not really one of my go-to, I'm in the mood for that type of thing. I'm sure I will read this at some point, I just don't know when. I'm now realizing that I should have put this book in my like ASAP TBR, because this is literally on my May TBR, but I just like don't really have a huge desire to read it, which is so bad. This is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. The reason why I'm not like super excited about it is because I've read another book by Ella Mays and I thought it was okay. I didn't really like it. I read to Love Jason Thorne, didn't really like it. And so of course, like once you read a book by an author that you don't love, it kind of puts you off a little bit. But I've heard so many great reviews about this. I've heard so many people say that this is their favorite book. I've had so many comments from you guys telling me that you didn't really like some of her other books, but you loved this one. So I need to commit. It's also 500 pages. And again, why are we making romance books, contemporary romance books, 500 pages? I will say the concept of this does sound very interesting, because I'm pretty sure our FMC needs to marry someone to get either an inheritance or something. Her uncle passes away and it says his will is clear. The building goes to Rose's husband, not to her. So she has to get married in order to get the building that her uncle left for her. And so marriage of convenience. This one is one that I'm really not sure why it's not in my ASAP TBR, and I'm also not sure why I haven't read it yet, because this is More Than Words by Mia Sheridan, and it ticks so many boxes for me. One, it's written by Mia Sheridan, who is the author of Archer's Voice, and I loved Archer's Voice, and I've also enjoyed most of the things that I've read, or actually all of the things I've read by Mia Sheridan. Not all of them are 5 stars, but I've enjoyed them all. 2, it's a romance book that's just over 300 pages, so stunning. 3, I'm pretty sure it's childhood friends to lovers, or like childhood friends to strangers to lovers potentially. So tell me why I haven't read this yet. I literally have no excuses. There's just nothing drawing me towards it, which makes 0 sense, because like I said, it ticks so many of my boxes. Again, if you've read this and you loved it, convince me to read it, because I obviously need some sort of motivation. Next we have Tell Me Lies. This has also been on my TBR for a hot minute. I really don't know that much about this book, apart from that it's kind of polarizing, like some people love it, some people hate it. Looks like it's a college romance. Lucy knows there's something about Stephen that isn't to be trusted. Stephen knows Lucy can't tear herself away, and their addicting entanglement will have consequences they never could have imagined. So it sounds like it's gonna be kind of toxic, which could be very good for me or very bad, because on one end of the scale we have Magnolia Park's toxic romance. I loved it. Loved it. Like my favorite book ever. And then on the other side of that, we have A Million Kisses in a Lifetime, which I did not like, and that was giving toxic college romance. And I think I'm kind of tying this book to A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime, and I'm assuming I won't like it because I didn't like that. But I could be so wrong, because like I said, I can like a toxic romance. I know that's toxic of me, but it's fiction. It's made up, guys. I'm not hoping for a toxic relationship in my own life. Sometimes it's just a bit of drama, a bit of fun, you know? I have a feeling Sarah read this not like recently, but like a few months ago maybe. And I think she enjoyed it. I don't think it was like 5 stars, but I think she enjoyed it, and that does make me want to read it more. I feel like Sarah could convince me to read anything. And the last book on my physical TBR is this one. This is One Day by David Nichols. Here's your first red flag. Romance book written by a man. How do we feel about that? Because I'm not too sure about it. I think that's one of my main concerns. That sounds terrible, but like I just don't really read books by men very often. I don't even intend to, it just kind of works out that way. But the concept of this one does sound really intriguing. It's about a guy and a girl who meet on the night of their graduation, and for some reason they can't be together, but they do have this like really strong connection and chemistry. And it says, so where will they be on this one day next year, and the year after that, and every year that follows? But I actually picked this book up because my auntie thought that I would really like it, and she reads a lot and I trust her opinion, so I really need to pick this up. Alrighty, now that we're done with my physical TBR, I did want to mention a few books that I don't own physically but I still really want to read. Some of them are new releases that haven't released yet, and some of them are just books that I want to read and I just don't own. So I might get them from the library or I might buy them in the future, we will see. But the first one is Meet Me at the Lake by Carly Fortune. I'm really conflicted whether I want to purchase this and read this, because I have heard such mixed reviews about this. I feel like some people say they loved it, but a lot of people have said it's pretty meh. And so I'm like, do I really want to commit the time to something that I'm not sure if I'll love? Especially because Every Summer After wasn't like my favorite book ever. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like amazing. So if I didn't already love one of her other books, do I really want to commit to something else that might just be kind of meh to me? I don't know. So again, let me know if I need to read it. You guys might convince me. I also really want to get my hands on Before I Saw You by Emily Houghton. I'm not sure on the pronunciation of her last name, but I read Last Time We Met, I think it's called, which is her other book. I read that one last year and I loved it. It was a really beautiful story, so well written, just really intriguing to me. And since then I've wanted to pick up another book by her, but the only kind of qualm that I have with this one and my like hesitation towards it is that I think it's about two people who meet in hospital potentially, and that kind of sounds like it could be sad, and I'm not sure if I want to do that. I'm not huge on sad books. So again, if you've read that one and you loved it, or if you have a better understanding on kind of like the vibe, please let me know, because I would love to know. I also desperately need to read Bad Reputation by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Bad Reputation is actually a bind up of 2 books by Krista and Becca Ritchie, and they are kind of related to the Addicted / Calloway Sisters series, but I'm pretty sure it's about Willow and Garrison, and I think their story will be one that I'm actually obsessed with, so I need to get on that, and I don't know why I haven't already. Another one that has had so much hype on the internet that I still have not got my hands on is 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I've heard amazing things about this book, and it sounds like something that I think I'll really enjoy. Again, my only hesitation with this one is that I think it's going to be kind of heavy, and that scares me a little bit, so I'm hesitant, but I also really want to read it. Another one that I've just heard so many good things about is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, I think. I'm pretty sure it's about a couple who are already married, and is it a marriage in turmoil kind of situation? I'm not exactly sure on the details of this one, but the reviews that I've heard about it have just convinced me that I need to pick it up at some point. But again, sounds like it could be quite heavy, and I just have to be in a very specific mood to read a more heavy book, potentially sad book. So again, I don't know. Let me know if you've read it. Let me know the vibe. Do I need to be like emotionally prepared for it, or is it not as bad as I'm making it out to be? And then in terms of new releases that haven't come out yet that I really want to get my hands on, first up we have Crimson River by Devney Perry. This will be the 5th book in the Eden series, which will be 6 books total. So we're getting to the end, which is really sad because I love the Eden series, and I think it'll be really fun to read Crimson River and get another sister's story. And that one comes out June 15th apparently. Another one I'm so excited about is called Once More with Feeling by Alyssa Sussman, who is the author of Why Am I Blanking? I have the cover in my head, the pink one. Why am I blanking? I literally love that book so much. Funny You Should Ask. I can't believe I forgot the name. I read Funny You Should Ask earlier this year and I loved it, rated it 5 stars, literally sat and binged it in like 2 sittings. And so I'm really excited to get my hands on her new release. It comes out May 30, so honestly not very far away at all. And I also know that it's about either one famous person or potentially both the people are famous. I don't know too many details, but if at least one person is famous in a book, I will probably want to read it because I love reading about famous people, rich people drama, famous people falling in love. It's just, I don't know what about it that pulls me in, but like the fact that they're on private jets and that they are trying to have these public kind of images and reputations, it's just really fascinating to me. Obviously, it's a life that I do not understand and will never understand. And I think things like that, especially like old Hollywood glamour, like those sort of stories really intrigue me. And so any stories about famous people or one person being famous is always super fun to me. We also have Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score coming out September 5th, I think. I am so excited for this. I have loved the Knock 'Em Out series so far, and this will be the conclusion, I'm pretty sure. So I'm really sad that the series is going to end, but I'm also really excited for Sloane and Lucian's story. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Lucian because they call him Lucy, but also my brain really wants me to say Lucian. Either way, it's about their story, and they are kind of like enemies in the first 2 books, but you can tell there's some history there. So I'm very intrigued, and also Lucian sounds so fascinating to me because I think it's kind of giving mafia vibes. Like he has got a lot of secrets, so I want to know what those secrets are. So very excited for that, and the cover looks stunning. And the last new release that I have written down is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. Again, I have 2 dates for this one. Goodreads says November 28th, and then Amazon says February 14th, and that's a huge difference. So we'll see with that one, but I think this is another YA romance, and as we already know, I love Lynn Painter's YA romances. I think they're so fun and so cute and just lighthearted and just like perfect vibes. So I'm very excited to read this one. I've seen a few people get some arcs, and it looks like a stunning paperback, so fingers crossed I can get it in November and not February, because that is just not it. But those are all the books that I have to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end if you did, because I feel like I've been talking for so long. But as always, I just love talking about books. I love talking about books that I'm excited about. It makes me so happy. I feel like you can probably see how excited I am just by the way that I talk. But hopefully this has given you some recommendations or some other books that you might add to your TBR or to your wish list or something like that. And let me know if you have any other recommendations that you think I would enjoy. I love romance. I love lots of different types of romances. Nothing too dark, nothing crazy spicy. But apart from that, I feel like I love lots of different things. So feel free to help me add to my list. But I love you guys so much. I hope you all have a fantastic day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you guys in my next video very soon. Goodbye.